that lets you save...
Look here.
True Form Life.
Green look on.
Welcome to Exploring Mind and Body with Drew Tadia. Drew is an expert in nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, and more. And he wants to help you live a healthier, longer, and more active life. Now here's your host, Drew Tadia.
All right, welcome to nationally syndicated Exploring Mind and Body. We are broadcast all across Canada on terrestrial radio, and here we are as a podcast as well, all over the world. So wherever you are, if you're a first-time listener, if you're with us on a regular basis, each week as we produce a brand new show, thank you so much for being here. We certainly couldn't be doing this without you. Today I'm bringing on Elsa Martin, and she's a pleasure. As always, I try to bring on different types of guests with different topics and insights and expertise. Now, you'll never know it, and I hope she doesn't mind me saying, but this is Elsa's first interview, and I'm so excited that Exploring Mind and Body gets a chance to do that with her and for her, and you're going to find out quickly that she speaks very well and has a lot of great information to share. But for me as a host, I've been doing this at least this point for probably over 6 years now. We're over 400 shows in, and for me to get a chance to interview different types of people, I always love to bring on people that aren't used to being interviewed because it's new and it's exciting for them. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy some of our bigger name guests as well that do interviews all the time or every day. Like we've had Tony Horton on, for example, Dan Millman on a few times. We've had Tosca Reno on. So we've had some really great guests as well that do interviews all the time, but we've also had really great guests that don't do interviews or are just starting to get to do interviews. So I'm so grateful to have the chance to interview Elsa for the first time. And she has great information. We're going to talk about slaying the sugar dragon. She has a very interesting story about how she struggled with rheumatoid, I can never say that word, arthritis. Let's go with that. And how she was able to kind of heal herself and use food to improve her health, and now she teaches that as well. So there's a lot of tips and takeaways here, so sit back and enjoy. We got all that coming up.
This is Exploring Mind and Body. Naturally improve your lifestyle one show at a time with your host, Drew Tadia.
All right, welcome to another edition of Exploring Mind and Body. You heard all about Elsa Martin in the introduction, so without further ado, welcome to the show, Elsa.
Hello, Drew. Thank you for asking me to join you today. I am a huge fan of your show. You share so much great information, so thank you.
Oh, well, thanks for the compliment. It's our pleasure. It's always exciting for us to have new guests, new and interesting guests with different type of information, so thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
So today, Elsa, we're talking about the sugar dragon. I love the name. Before we get into that, I want to give our audience a chance to resonate with you a little bit. And I want to understand your background and how you got into what you're doing now.
Okay, so probably about 8 years ago, I was overweight, exhausted. I had terrible PMS, and I was really struggling with rheumatoid arthritis. I had severe joint pain, and basically anytime I even took a step, I was in shooting pain, pain in all my joints in my body. My hands just swelled right up. I couldn't even open and close my hands anymore. So here I was. I had a young family, and I was basically becoming a cripple. So I mean, it was scary and just not a really good time in my life. And I went to the doctor, of course, many times trying to get answers. And finally, what they came up with was just that I would need a strong anti-inflammatory and a really good pain medication to help me carry on with my life. And that just wasn't a good enough answer for me. I wanted to figure out why and what this was happening to me, and I mean what I could do about it, not just cover up the symptoms. So finally found a naturopathic doctor, and she recommended that I just eliminate a few foods from my diet and see how they affected me. Well, within 2 weeks, I was hugely better. Literally changed my life. I couldn't believe it, how much better I was. Basically pain-free, no more swelling in my joints. It was just amazing. And a huge part of that was sugar. So I think that really was my kind of aha moment of the power of the food that we put into our body and how it affects us.
So what was it that they recommended? It was a naturopath?
Yes, and she recommended just eliminating certain foods like wheat and sugar and dairy out of what I was eating to see how they affected me. And so, like I said, within just a couple weeks, I saw how they affected me. I was completely pain-free and so much better just by not having that processed food.
And did you cut out all of that?
Basically, I didn't do it 100%, but I did eliminate a lot of it out of what I was eating. Yes.
And then did you implement either or any of them back into your diet, or did you just stay free of, what was it, dairy, gluten, sugar?
Yes. So I basically try to just stay free of those. I mean, I will still have some once in a while, but because my body has healed over time, it doesn't affect me like it used to when I was having it all the time.
So what did it feel like when you were, well, how long did you go off those before you saw results?
So, yeah, literally 2 weeks I was off of those foods and I was so much better. Like within 2 weeks, pretty much totally pain-free.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible.
And so from there you saw those results, and then what did you say? I got to teach other people this?
Pretty much, yeah. So, I mean, then I was like, really, I was just so amazed by this, and I was just like, kind of like my aha moment of realizing, wow, this is crazy that food affects us like this. I had no idea. So I did all kinds of research and studying, and, of course, people tell you when they're not feeling good or the pain that they have, and after hearing so many different people's stories as well, I just decided, I need to go and get certified to do this so that I can share this with other people and help them to overcome this, because it's not nice trying to live like that, and we really don't have to.
Yeah, I think that sometimes many times we just accept these things in our life. We're just like, well, this is the way it is. I don't sleep. I'm in pain. I'm miserable. That's life. Not realizing that it really is brighter on the other side of the fence there.
Exactly. I think we just become used to it and don't even really know that there are other options.
So when you're working with someone, with a client that might have similar symptoms or issues with pain or arthritis, and you explain your story to them, did they believe you? I'm curious to know what their reaction is.
Well, I think they believe me. They act like they do anyways. I think that what really makes them believe it is when they do it themselves for a couple weeks and the difference that they feel, and just getting rid of the pain and the increase in energy is always amazing as well. And just generally feeling so much better.
So when you see someone, or when someone comes to you, what's the first thing or what's the first step that you go over with them?
So I always have them fill in quite a detailed form of, how they're feeling and their symptoms, just to give me an idea of where they are with their health and any medication they're on, that kind of thing, and what they want to achieve, what their goals are. And then that way we can make a plan that's suitable for them.
What seems to be the biggest concern for people that come and see you?
For me, it's almost always weight loss is one of the biggest concerns. And then they achieve that, and then they are surprised to see, other effects that come along with eating healthy. Like I said, the energy, the sleeping better, getting rid of PMS and menopause. That's a big one as well.
Menopause is something that we hear a lot. Like, there's a lot of women that go through menopause and not really sure what to do about it. How do you address that situation with your clients?
Oh my goodness, it's crazy. Like, I am shocked at some of the symptoms of menopause and how, literally debilitating it can be for some women. And so, just eliminating these inflammatory foods, like, it's amazing to me how much it can change the symptoms that they have, and seriously, like, eliminate this menopause symptoms that they're going through, and even the night sweats and that kind of thing, like, they don't have them anymore. And even just after, like, it's usually like within a month, the huge difference.
So when you say eliminate anti-inflammatory foods, is there any in particular you could mention for our audience?
Absolutely. Definitely wheat and sugar. The processed, refined foods like that, just the way they're processed, our bodies don't know how to deal with them. And it's like putting a foreign substance into our bodies. And so our body reacts.
So when it comes to sugar in general, I mean, sugar, I always say sugar is a drug. We're highly addicted to it. It's in everything. We know if we go off it, we go through sugar withdrawals. So what is the biggest or maybe the most significant advice you could give to someone when they come to you and they're highly addicted to sugar or trying to get off?
Yeah, I agree. I've heard you say that before, Drew, about sugar, the withdrawals and that. And it's very true. Like it's, sometimes those first few days when you're trying to get off sugar, like you can be a little cranky or, low on energy and that kind of it's not always the prettiest in those first few days. But when you're aware that you might be going through that, then you can kind of adjust for that. But I just tell people, some people can go through it, like just cut it off cold turkey. And, they're fine with that. And then other people need to wean off of it gradually. And so we just work with what's best for the person. Not everything works right for each person. So we try to just deal with what's going to be best for them. And, I just, encourage them to basically stop feeding the sugar dragon. What I did a blog post on that a while ago, that what we feed grows. So if you keep on feeding your body sugar, like you said, it's highly addictive, a drug. Like I'm sure your listeners probably have heard before that, sugar is 8 times more addictive than cocaine. So, just realizing that, it's going to be an adjustment, but there are lots of ways to get around it. Taking good supplements and replacing the sugar with a healthy alternative. Maybe honey, maple syrup, fruit, berries, that kind of thing, so that you're not missing it like you think you might.
What is this sugar dragon that you've termed with a pretty cool name?
Well, you know what? I found that, I heard that, I think it was through the Whole 30. I've heard that from the Whole 30 before, and I love that. So definitely, I think that's what it's like. When you're going through those withdrawals, it can feel like a dragon inside there.
And then some of the things that we can do to slay the dragon is pay attention to the processed foods we're putting in our body.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, sugar is in, I think it's like 80% of every food that's in the grocery store, because it's a preservative and because it's addictive. So, of course, if they're selling us something, they want us to be addicted to it. So we'll keep coming back to eat it. So in the processed foods, by eliminating those, you're cutting off those cravings that your body's having to deal with. So, just to try and eliminate the processed food as much as possible.
Yeah, the grocery store is a tough one, and that's what we try to explain to our listeners and our clients and customers. We need to start reading ingredients, because if we're not reading the ingredients, the grocery stores aren't going to do it for us. They're not there to provide us with the healthiest food possible. They're usually there to keep a product on the shelf as long as possible, because if it expires, they're going to lose money. They have to throw it away. So if we look at the industry in general and find ways to protect ourselves or positively influence ourselves, like reading ingredients and paying attention to what we're putting in our body, then we have a better chance at living a healthy lifestyle.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, their goal, right, is not concern for our health. I mean, they have a business. They're there to make money, really. And so it's up to us to take ownership for our own health. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of an ingredient reading ninja when I go into the grocery store. It takes me twice as long to get groceries than anybody else, because I'm reading like every label. But, then I know what works and what doesn't, and what I can pass on to the members that are in my plan as well.
Yeah, that's what's funny, that when we start working with someone, that's one of the first things that they mention is, it takes me so much longer to go grocery shopping. And we say, that, first of all, that's a good thing, because you're starting to understand that it takes more time and to pay attention to what's putting in your body. Like, read those ingredients. You should pay attention to what's going on instead of just grabbing things and throwing them in your cart. And the other thing is that once you get to know what areas to shop for at the grocery store, I'm sure like most of us have heard you stay on the outside of the grocery store, try to avoid the aisles, or like, why would you go down the candy aisle? And there's nothing there.
Don't do that to yourself.
That's right. So, and then the other thing is that just paying attention, I suppose, what we're putting in our body, but by looking at the name brands, by looking at where we're going in the grocery store, it does get quicker, and we start to understand, like, that's the aisle I need to go to. That's the name brand that's safe for me to put in my grocery cart. So it doesn't actually take that long forever. It just does at first until you start to pay attention to, until you have a better grasp of the types of products that you need to consume or need to put in your cart.
Right. I mean, you just become informed about it, right? And it just becomes natural then. That's just you go to those ones that you know.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that once you start to do it on a regular basis, then you know where to go. Also, when you design meal plans, what does that look like for your clients? I'd imagine they're customized, but walk us through something that you would plan for our listeners here.
So yeah, I would have them fill in, these forms that, like I was saying earlier, and so that I get an idea what their goals are, what they want to accomplish. Because I work with, like moms that, just want to get rid of the PMS and have energy to play with their kids and drop some weight, all the way to, elite athletes that, want to, shred or build their muscles or, for their sport and be in the best shape that they can for their sport. So obviously, there are going to be different plans for each individual and what works best for them. And it's going to fit into their lifestyle. All my plans are very simple with recipes. I know that even if you have time, most of us don't want to spend the time in the kitchen, making big elaborate meals. So it's all really simple ingredients that they just buy at the grocery store, and just quick, easy meals that they can make that taste good for their families too. So nothing complicated, just really simple, but that's going to work for them and help them achieve the goals that they want.
Yeah, I love that. I always find it, I don't know what the word is, troubling, or I don't really understand. Like, you have these big like recipe books, and they're jam packed with all these different exotic recipes and ingredients. And I always, when I'm walking through a bookstore, I'll flip through and see what's going on. And I don't know what like half of them are. I wouldn't have a clue where to buy them and then how to use them. So I'm like, well, I suppose the recipe will tell you, but I'm like, who would buy this and use it?
Exactly. Like, it's too complicated to, be messing around with that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, and I think people want that convenience. They want to be able to be able to pick up a recipe and use it. And I suppose those books that I was just talking about might give us a bad name for those of us that design meal plans, because we're like, oh, we design meal plans. And I'd imagine a lot of people are like, oh, I've seen meal plans before. You probably jam pack them with ingredients I don't even know where to buy.
Right. So, that's often a question I get when people are deciding whether to do one of my plans or not. Like, is there special things? Like, am I going to be able to find the ingredients for this? Or like, what kind of stuff am I going to have to cook with?
Yeah. And you have that listed there. Like, you have ingredients listed in your meal plans as well, right?
Yes. So I give them the meal plan, the recipes, and I even make their grocery list for them, actually. So it's very, very simple.
Yeah, make it as easy as possible, so then there's no guessing, or there's no confusion of where to go or what to do. It's right there, right in front of you. You can just go to the store and bring your list with you.
Yes, it's so much more convenient. And that way you're way more likely to stick with it. And my plans, my focus really is on a lifestyle change. It's not an all or nothing kind of thing. It's to help you change your lifestyle so that, you're healthy and have the body you want for the rest of your life. So it has to be simple and fit into your lifestyle, or you're just not going to do it.
And you said that you have some tips as well. Like, do you do daily tips or within your meal plans, or how does that work? Tips to stay on track or follow along?
Yes. So I always do things like each week I'll send them information on, say, like eating out, how to navigate in restaurants and what kind of foods to choose when you're eating out, or, how to stick with your plan while you're traveling, that kind of thing. So that it's for practical everyday life, that, when you are doing other things, that you can stay on track.
Do you find that a lot of your customers or clients eat out on a regular basis?
Yes.
How many times a week do you think, roughly?
Oh, I would say probably usually about 2 to 3 times a week at least.
Yeah. I'm always curious to hear that, because I think when you ask people, they don't always tell you how often. You might need to add one or two onto that. But there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't want people to think there's something wrong with eating out. I think there might be issues if someone says, well, I can't afford this or that, but they eat out 4 or 5 times a week. And it's expensive. Like, it's expensive to eat out compared to buying your own groceries and cooking your own food. And then if you're struggling, if you don't make healthy choices, if you go to, like, we eat very clean. Like, I would say very clean. Like, it's to the point where we have friends and family that are like, well, we can't go anywhere. You're not going to eat anything. And I always say, like, it's not like that. Like, in most places or in most circumstances, we can find something. Like, I wouldn't go to, like, a fast food. Like, I remember last time I went to, like, a McDonald's, for example. But if you're going to a restaurant or you're going to an establishment where they have a variety of different foods, I can find something every time that's healthy and clean that I would eat. So I think that the only issue with eating out that often for me is that if you struggle to find those clean options and you're not choosing them because there's so many temptations of having deep fried or having appetizers or drinks or desserts that all take you away from the goals that you want to reach.
Yes. And I mean, I feel like restaurants are definitely getting better, with having healthier options. But yeah, that's the biggest part of it, really. Not that the healthy option isn't available, but when I go into the restaurant and, everybody else around me is ordering burgers and fries or whatever, am I really going to be strong enough to just choose the healthier option?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think that's something that we have to ask ourselves, those of us that are working towards living a healthy lifestyle. Like, can you go in and make the right decision, especially like maybe you're with friends or family, or maybe you're with people that I could say are less than supportive. Or I think many times when we go on this healthy living, or a lot of people call them diets, or however you want to term it, when we try to eat cleaner, we don't tell anyone. It's like a big secret. So when you go out with family and friends, it's a challenge to order a salad when everyone else is going for wing night.
Yes.
And that's an important tip as well, I think, when we're working towards living a healthy lifestyle, whether it's you're trying to cut sugar or some of those other anti-inflammatory foods that you mentioned earlier, Elsa. I think that if we keep that a secret and we don't let those around us know, then how can we help us, or how can we find that support that we need?
Exactly. And, we need that support. I mean, it's awesome to have a coach like you or I there for, to coach them every step of the way. And that's great. It helps hugely. I mean, studies show over and over again that having a personal coach to navigate with you makes a huge difference in you succeeding. But you also need that support group, or, it's very helpful if you do have that support group of your friends and family.
Yeah, that support group means everything. It makes all the difference, and we try to talk about that as often as possible because it makes such a difference. And I think if you're on it alone and you're doing this by yourself and you don't have anyone to answer to keep you accountable or to help with motivation, or you don't have anyone to keep you on track moving forward, then I think that's when you see the big rush for New Year's resolutioners. And you're at the gym, and I worked out of a gym for years, and you see people brand new people with brand new shoes and workout gear. They kind of wander around a bit, and then after a couple weeks they're gone because they don't have any direction, they don't have any help or coaching. So having that support or someone to take you where you want to go is really going to make all the difference.
Yes, exactly. It really makes a big difference. I actually just did a podcast on that this week, the power of friends, and how the friends that we choose, the stats show that you become like the 5 people that you spend the most time with, and what a difference that really does make.
And what do you recommend when someone doesn't have that supportive community, or those 5 friends, for example, that influence us the most aren't all that positive?
Well, I think that it's important then for us to really get clear on our why. Why do you want to do this? Why are you choosing a healthy lifestyle, even if you don't have that support? And, just be very clear on that and very clear on your goals. And then, I always say, if you can't, spend time with someone that's going to mentor you and help build you up, get on YouTube or listen to shows like this one, like you have, Drew. That you can build yourself up and encourage yourself and get your motivation yourself, because, access to that, kind of stuff now is so easy, and there's tons of it. So I feel like we really don't have an excuse. It's nice to have that support, but if we don't, there's definitely ways that we can support and encourage ourselves and through YouTube, and that get encouragement and support from other people as well.
Yeah, there's so much information out there. We can, and we choose, for the most part, we choose what we get to see. And if we're flipping through our news feeds and it's a bunch of negative types of information, you can make changes to your news feed, or you can make changes to whatever channel, if it's YouTube. There's so much information out there. We can decide to make a difference and to tune into health shows or watch certain types of programs that are going to be positive, or we can choose to hang out and watch TV. Oh my God, I'm a sports fan. I don't know if we don't know each other too well, Elsa, but I do enjoy watching sports. So every once in a while, I'll flip on, watch a game, and the commercials for fast food and burgers are insane. And I'm like, because I don't watch TV on a regular basis. It's just when maybe a game is on, for example, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's almost like brainwash. It's over and over, and I'm like, how could you not? I'm sitting there, I haven't had a burger from a fast food joint in years, and I'm like, maybe I should have a burger.
It's so true. They are so good at it, right?
Yeah. So, but going back to your point there, I think that we can choose. We make that decision, and if you reach out and find different areas, and we have unlimited knowledge these days, too much, if you ask me. But if you go and channel that to a positive direction, then you'd be so much better off.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, like you said, really it comes down to our own choices and deciding how badly we want it and why we want to do this for ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. Elsa, I told you the shows was going to fly by. You didn't believe me, did you?
No, I didn't.
We do need to wrap things up here. So before we let you go, tell us about your website. Tell us about your services and what you have to offer if our listeners here would like more information.
Okay, awesome. So I'm an online weight loss practitioner and health coach. So I coach people from anywhere in the world. And basically I help them lose weight, feel the very best that they ever have, and really get the body that they want to have. And I do that through personal one-on-one coaching, where I make specific meal plans for that person exactly how they want it, and just coach them every step of the way through it. Like I said, I make the meal plans, give them the recipes, and the food is really good. People are always surprised at how good the food really is. I think they think if you're cutting out certain food that you can't eat good food, but they're always surprised that the food is delicious. And so then I coach them every step of the way, even make the grocery list for them, so it's super easy. I also do group challenges, which are really fun too. If you have a group of friends or coworkers, that kind of thing, where if people get together and we do a group challenge, and you don't actually meet face to face, but our group is through a private page on Facebook, and then you get to encourage each other and have that support. And then with the group challenges, I always give a discounted rate for groups, as well as then I do things like weekly challenges, and they get prizes, and it's just lots of fun too. So all that, and like I said, I coach anywhere from moms, seniors, to elite athletes that really want to achieve their optimum in the sport that they're doing. So all kinds of variety that way. And so my website is wholebynutrition.com. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I have the website, and I've got all kinds of different plans on there. You can check out my website if you want to hear more of my story or see the different plans that I offer.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning and for sharing your expertise with us on Exploring Mind and Body.
Thanks, Drew. And thank you for what you're doing, because I know that it's also your passion to help people live better lives. So thanks for this and for what you're doing.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Exploring Mind and Body. As always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and sticking around till the end. More details as to what we have going on at trueformlife.com. All these past shows are going up on exploringmindandbody.com. And don't forget to download our free app on any Apple device so you can download the show and take it with you wherever you go. That's it. That's all I got. I'm out of here. As always, I'm your host, Drew Tadia, in health and fitness for a better world. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Exploring Mind and Body with Trueform Life's Drew Tadia, fitness expert. To find out more about the show, Drew Tadia, or to listen to past shows, visit exploringmindandbody.com.